and then we're live everywhere else. Hello, welcome YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch to the first official episode of Man2Man with myself and Lee. If you're watching on Instagram and you're thinking, why are they not looking at us? Why are they looking to the side a lot? Well, we've got multiple platforms, multiple streams going on now, especially, and also if you're listening back on the podcast and you're wondering where can you catch this stuff live, because it's a live format. So you've got on a Monday at 9 p.m. But most importantly, for Man2Man, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. You can catch us on Insta Live or one of the other platforms, Facebook or Twitch or YouTube. Good evening, Lee.
Take your pick. Good evening. How are you?
So pick a mix, something for everything. Week been, I don't know, slow, Groundhog Day. Nothing really seems to be going on.
Up and down. You don't really know what's going to be around the corner. Let's be honest, we don't.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've been, if I'm honest, focusing on this a lot, on mental health, and trying to get my workflow and everything sorted. You put the work in now, and then hopefully, as the weeks go by, the scheduling's easy. I've got reminders, and you do this at this time, this time, and then. So that's boringly. I'm on mental health, and all I've got to talk about is mental health. So that's.
It's your baby, mate. You got to caress that for a very long time.
Exactly.
That's how it is. But I think that's what lockdown's done for a lot of people, right? It's giving people time to focus on passion projects or like things that they've been parking to the side for a little bit because they've got a lot more time than they've ever had, right? So it gives people that time to do something that's a little bit different or something they've always been wanting to do. It's definitely helped me, especially the first lockdown. So it's definitely served the purpose.
What about you? What about your week? Anything to write home about?
I can't say so, mate. The weather's been shocking. Business is good. I mean, I'm not complaining. I know all my clients are near enough all transferred over to Zoom, so doing a fair few sessions on Zoom. My own private classes on Zoom also. I mean, I've just spent a lot of time on Zoom, so my laptop's currently my best friend.
Yeah, just a lot of screen time. Left, right, center.
Time, yeah. I wanted to. The last year, my aim for 2021 was reduce screen time, and COVID came along and went, "Do you know what, mate? Your screen time's going up."
Yeah, that is a bullshit New Year's resolution to have, isn't it? During a lockdown.
Oh no, yeah.
Less screen time. I actually, I've got to be honest. I don't ever look at that. Do you know that tells you how much time you've been on your screen?
Statistic,
yeah. I'm very fearful to even.
I reckon just avoid it, mate. Don't worry about it. Just call it an hour. Call it an hour.
Yeah. Loads of time. And what were we going to start with today? I can't even remember. You're going to have to keep me on the straight and narrow on Thursdays, I think.
Yeah, Thursday. Maybe I have to take over, mate. Maybe I have to take over. Thursdays are essentially so. For
you already started with your plug for your own private Zoom PTs.
I'll give you your email address if you want it.
I'll give you a promo code for Lee Fit for 20% off private Zooms.
I love it. So essentially, just to give a bit of context to people that obviously are new to this or like don't know much about myself. The aim for Man2Man these days is to not only spread a positive message and spread a sort of a message on mental health, but also for us to get to know each other because we don't really know each other outside of Core Collective. And Core Collective, for those who don't know what that is where myself and Elliot work. It is a sort of boutique fitness studio in London. So myself and Elliot work there, but we also... The whole idea of Man2Man is to get to know each other on a man-to-man level, right? And then slowly but surely uncover things from each other, and I suppose also share the love on the way.
Yeah, exactly. That is it. That's what really excited me about the project. Is one, I've got good gut feeling that you're a decent bloke. Don't prove me wrong on that, Lee. So I wanted to get know you better, but I like the concept of people being able to witness that journey too. If we're doing this every week, theoretically, and also by cutting to some of the like meaningful stuff, we should end up pretty good mates. And even if it's just virtually, then it's a great tool to be able to try and
Mate,
do as well with other people.
I want a beer. I just really want a beer, right? All right. So as soon as we can we just get a beer?
Yeah, I know. I'm literally just got the water tonight, so I
Yeah,
have got beers in the
understand.
fridge. If you can hold it down, I can run to the fridge and get us some.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Also, for guys that also join in, comments, questions, anything you want to ask, anything you want to say, please do so. Okay, I want to sort of keep it as entertaining, but also as like engaging with you guys as possible. So if you've got anything to ask or anything sort of like on your mind, something you're feeling a bit down, maybe you want to get something off your chest, this is a very safe place to do so. No judgment.
Yes, I'm a big fan of that. And you know, if you've got any anonymous stories or anonymous questions, you need any advice, we probably won't do you any good. But you can always fire it in anyway, and we can we can muddle through it.
Yeah, that's it.
Speaking of that, we're going to start with some questions to each other, right? To try and get to know each other a bit better.
We are. I think we'll start with the hard questions, and then we'll go maybe a bit more comical. So we
Okay.
get the hard one out of the way
Oh,
first.
you're going to fire something hard at me straight away.
So I am, yes, I am. We'll start with hard. I'm gonna go if fear, if the word fear and the concept of fear wasn't a factor, what would you do? What would be that one burning desire, that thing that you've always wanted to do, but you maybe have had fear to do it? If fear wasn't a factor.
Good question. I think there's like lots of different categories for this, isn't there? When it comes to putting myself out there for things like ideas and stuff I'm getting a lot better at that. I used to be very fearful, but luckily I'm starting to get over the fear of what other people think of me and what I think of myself. But I guess there's still things that I'm afraid of. But I'm myself. I'm very afraid of the concept of death and like being and not being alive anymore. More so the opposite.
Yeah.
So sometimes one that would be completely relieved, I guess, and a lot of the time that I spend worrying about that would be gone. So that would be a nice light relief,
Yeah.
And I guess you'd just walk around with a bit more confidence. I guess there's a couple more business ventures that I would like to do. Like I've got a really good idea for an animated series, an animated TV series I'd love to develop, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's fear that's holding me back from that one. I think it's more resources and having the time and finance to put into it. I guess I would do that because I'd put my skin in the game. I'd put like 5-10 grand into that, right? Wouldn't I? If I was not fearful of it failing.
Of course, yeah. If you had the confidence and that mindset of this is going to succeed no matter what, and you don't have that like fear factor in your brain to say like no, don't do that because it's going to fail. Like there's always going to be that sort of like devil on one shoulder, devil on the other shoulder, right? Where you want to do something, but like that one says no and that one says yes. I think for me, if to flip that, I've always wanted to just drop life and just go traveling the world. I really would. I think there's so much that I want to see. It's just then like you're a bit like what would happen when I come back, or like
There's all these narratives that maybe potentially people will forget you, or the job's not there to walk back into when you come back, and or the fear that you'll find something and never want to come back. You won't want your old life anymore. That's a big fear, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I also think that, I mean, that's typically why people will always pay the safer option, right? Because that fear of the unknown, that fear of like not knowing what's to come, is always something that's a drawback to people. And unless people are really educated and clued up on what is to come, it's very hard to make that decision, which I totally respect and understand that, because I've been in that situation myself. So.
Okay, well, my turn to hit you with one.
Let's go.
Start with the really positive stuff. Really positive. I'm going to ask you, what do you think your own biggest flaw is? That's my accent, by the way. Flaw. It
Flaw.
just sounds like a just noise coming out of my mouth when I say flaw.
My own biggest flaw. I think.
So now I'm judging your self-awareness and also your honesty. That's what I'm going right in there straight away.
I'm an open book, mate. I'm as honest as they come. I think definitely growing up, especially in my sort of professional career, naivety has been a big flaw of mine.
Okay.
For a few reasons, but some being that like you kind of get messed over in business a little bit, and you kind of realize how naive you are. And I mean, I'm only 25 going on 26, right? But there's been a few things that's happened within the fitness industry in my career where I was incredibly naive to what I expected from people and didn't get the same in return.
Wait a minute, hold up. I don't even know how old you are. I didn't know you were that young.
Did you not?
No.
Every single person that I tell my age is literally like, excuse me, come again.
So what, you're 26 this year?
I'm 26 in March, yeah, 2 months.
Fucking hell. No, I didn't know that. I thought you were like a year younger than me. So I thought you'd have been 28 turning 29 this year.
Yeah, that is what everyone says. Everyone says that number. Yeah. Mate, I'm a young whippersnapper. I've experienced a lot.
Or you just, that's it. Or the wrinkles just make you look older.
I'm very weathered, all right? I'm weathered.
I'm joking. For anyone that's listening back to this, you have to come check him out. He doesn't look old at all. Right. So where did I get to? You just think being naive and putting faith into other people.
Putting faith into other people, taking people's word for things,
okay.
and discussing something over a lunch where you're like, yeah, that sounds great. Like this idea, put all my effort, put all my time, put all my sort of resources into something, and it doesn't end up developing into what you spoke about or like what wanted it to come. I essentially wanted something to happen, and that thing didn't happen because I was very trusting in someone else's word.
So if it used to be that, what is it now?
What is my biggest flaw now?
Yeah, you said you spoke. That's what it used to be. So I'm guessing, I'm assuming you've learned from that, and you've got a filter.
For sure. My biggest flaw now, not be able to keep my mouth shut, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
That probably is my biggest flaw. I've been like it my whole life. Going through school and going through maybe my professional career. If I'm thinking something, it's coming out. I do find it very hard to hold back sometimes. But I've always been that sort of person who just like, if I'm thinking something, why hold it in? What's the point? Like, just say it. It could get me in trouble. It could really further down the line get me in trouble. It could put me in a bad situation. But so far, I'm still breathing.
Yeah, it's just that filter. But learning that when it's not worth it, isn't it? I guess when you're doing it for your own sake and not for everyone else's. Because sometimes you need those voices and you need those people to cut the shit. But sometimes it can be unnecessary, maybe.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm not like it to a point where I come across incredibly arrogant. I'm not.
No, I wasn't implying that actually. Yeah,
I'm not that, but like I do find it difficult to sometimes keep my emotions to myself. That's for sure.
And I guess I have to answer my own question as well of what's my biggest flaw. I guess I would say it is. I mean, what do I choose? There's an array. There's plenty, but I'm thinking maybe the need for, I guess, quite deep-seated, I think, but like the need for gratification. Like I was speaking this to my flatmates the other day about that. I feel like I have that. Like there's been times where, I've done things that I want to do in life, like hit goals when it comes to like performing in the West End, and then I get to that bite. Not to use the Tyson Fury one when he became, heavyweight champion of the world. It's not quite that level, but you get to hit to your goals and then be like, oh God, that's not really doing anything for me. Yeah. So I feel like I just have that sometimes, and
I think hold on to this thought, okay? This is
yeah,
like really played into something, but hold on to what we've just said there because this is going to play nicely into what we're going to discuss next. So just
okay,
carry on, but like this is really going to play nicely into it.
okay. So I think I'm glad of the way that I'm using it. Like a lot of the time, I'm like trying to hone that and do it and help people and like put it out like outwardly in a good way. But I think that sometimes, you know, there's a need for gratification or attention or something along that route. And I think people can, if they're honest about it, can probably relate.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen that with social media, right? The gratification from Instagram is the like button. So
yeah.
you receive 100 likes and you have 100 gratifications. You know, like that's how Instagram essentially is seen now, right? I'm pretty sure they were trialing getting rid of the like button, weren't they, in certain countries?
Or at least showing other people how many you have. I think how many
Yeah,
likes you have.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's comes in. I think that's just modern society nowadays. All people will always want gratification, whether that's professionally or not.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Well, there's my moment of honesty for you. So what do you say that's going to link to? Come on, then, hit me.
So,
What have you
so
got up your sleeve?
you said it really interestingly about you wanted to get to West End or like Tyson Fury got to heavyweight champion of the world and like you might have got to like West End but not didn't feel fulfilled or you like got there and you're like, oh, do you know what I've got here, it's not as good as I thought.
Mm.
Well, one of the big topics that I wanted to discuss today was pleasure versus happiness. So the difference between the both of them, what
Mm-hmm.
we as humans strive for when it comes to pleasure and what we strive for happiness and how each one defined, because there's a very subtle difference and I think it comes a bit more down to like longevity rather than like, okay, is what I'm doing now making me happy or is what I'm doing now giving me pleasure, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I have some interesting theories on happiness in general, actually. So um, I'm all for delving into this one. So where do you want to start? Defining the difference between the two potentially?
Yeah. So if you go into happiness, I'll go into pleasure. So if we speak about pleasure and what is pleasure, so pleasure for me is like a short term feeling of like, okay, this makes me feel good. Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
feeling where like I feel good by doing this. What I'm doing is making me happy. So if we get to like buying a Ferrari, so I buy a Ferrari, I'm getting pleasure from buying that Ferrari. Does that Ferrari make me happy? Well, what can you get after you've got a Ferrari? You're going to get a
Uh,
Lamborghini. Are you
yeah.
going to get a Bugatti? You know, so that for me is short term pleasure. It's not a Ferrari is not going to make you happy. You know, buying a £10 million house is not going to make you happy. It's short. For me, it's the pleasure of buying that thing or that material thing that perceives you to have happiness.
So is the pleasure focused in the act of purchasing? Is that what you're focusing on, or the act
Well,
of owning, or the things that it brings, like the lifestyle?
I think it could also be lifestyle. It could also be related to anything. It could be related to there's this notion of maybe guy. How many girls can I sleep with? Well, like that is not that for the time being is pleasure. You're getting pleasure every time you potentially sleep with a girl and you want to get to this number and that number, or it might be a competition with your mates, whatever it is. But long term, is what you're doing making you happy? Because it's not. That's pleasure. So for me, pleasure is defined by something that you get a short term buzz or a short term positive feeling from.
Hmm. And sometimes potentially knowing best, like you're repeating the same behavior that you know
Yeah.
doesn't. There's a lull at the end of it, or there's something that's like not going to feel good afterwards, but you do it anyway because in the instant moment, and we're always reminded to like live in the present moment, right, and to not worry about the future or regret the past. But yeah, I think the other end of the spectrum is being too spontaneous and going for things that are not working towards this long-term heightened of happiness. You see that you do. I think that's what you're describing, right?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I guess it's my. I mean, if I could actually do this correctly, then I'm sure that a lot of people have tried to answer this question. So I'm going to give it a go, but I don't know if I can describe what happiness is.
I mean,
I guess
opinion.
yeah, it's also subjective and opinion. So if you've got any other differing opinions in the chat or anything like that, and you want to fire them out and tell me that I'm wrong, that's not happiness, then go for it. I'm all for that. So happiness to me is, it's so difficult. I do actually really struggle with what the concept of happiness is, but because I think that lots of different things do actually bring happiness to different people. And it depends on your motivations in life, and what your long-term goals are. But I think happiness is potentially related to gratitude, being grateful for what you've got. It's potentially related to, having feelings that you have that are constantly there. So you're obviously going to have ups and downs, but your base level of feelings is you feel valid and you feel. I don't know, man. I'm to be honest, I'm struggling. I don't know how to describe happiness.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. I think when it comes to happiness, firstly, I think every single person on this planet needs to realize that happiness for you is not happiness for someone else. So every single person will have their own definition of happiness.
We agree on that. Good. Yeah.
So I'd say currently I am very happy with how my life's going and what route I'm going down with my career, personal life, whatever. I feel happy and doing that, and I feel content from what I'm getting from my life. But the way I'm living my life and what I do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis could make someone else very unhappy,
Yeah.
So it is definitely specific to each individual.
That's what I was trying to. That's what was hard for me to recognize and anchor some points that will be universal for everyone. It's quite a hard thing to do. But I definitely think there are some themes that run through that would make everyone happy potentially.
Yeah.
So that's the difficult part. But yeah, is I guess being true to yourself and doing things that you want to do, not to please other people and to please potentially your family, or potentially you make decisions that are things that you don't want to do or work towards. See, this is my controversial opinion on happiness. I don't think it's a constant state. I don't think it's possible to be happy all the time. And I think if you were, then it would remove the euphoria of what happiness is, because you need to have contrast, and you need to have yin and yang and balance. Otherwise, how do you know what euphoria is if you don't know what going through a shit time is?
Agreed. Yeah, I like what you said about doing it for you. A lot of the time, and this comes back to what you said about gratification. A lot of time, people naturally want to do things to make someone else either feel happy or feel like they're getting something back from someone else. There's not it. I mean, it's not selfishness in a way, but something selfish in your life to make yourself happy and be happy within what you're doing in order to then focus on other people. I think you need to really focus on yourself first,
Yeah, it's that. I think I said it maybe on the last episode about you can't pour from an empty cup. I'm sure I've said it plenty of times, and I'll say it again. And you've got to focus on yourself before you can make other people happy as well. Like, people pleasing is not the way to go. But
yeah, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, I mean, you said that you're happy at the moment in the direction. So I think that is a massive theme of knowing that it's not a point to get to, that it's a progress and a process. That
It's a journey, yeah.
if you're happy within the movement of time and the movement of things coming in and coming out of your life, I think that the Buddhists' main teaching on happiness is about accepting change into your life, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think how change sometimes make you feel, right? Change is uncomfortable. Change it's like a foreign body coming into your life. It's not necessarily something that people welcome, but change can also be one of the most powerful things that happens in your life because it can spark something else to happen that you didn't you didn't see coming. I mean, it's happened to me personally in the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but there's been a lot of change in my life personally, and I'm just embracing it and kind of making myself excited for what's to come.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, isn't it? That's why I think gratitude is a really important one, because no matter how shit things get, there's always something to be grateful for. And
Yeah.
although that is super fucking hard to do sometimes, and the opposite side of that conversation is, if you do feel shit, then accept that your own feelings and allow yourself to feel that way. Like, if you've been here at Mental Health, you know that sometimes when I'm making a point, it's not my whole rounded opinion. But yeah, I think yeah, accepting that change. It kind of, I don't know if you did this on purpose with your hard question that you did to me, but it definitely links to the fear element, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean,
Because people
one big
like
revolving circle, isn't it? It
you
really
want to
is.
put your life
It's
back
one
to normal.
big revolving circle. It's at the end of the day, like, I think journey is a big word to use. You're going to go through a journey in your life where there'll be times where you'll feel super happy. There'll be times where you'll feel super down. There'll be times when you'll feel ambitious, optimistic, motivated, demotivated, whatever it is. Like, you're going to go through days, weeks, months where you're going to feel all sorts of emotion. I think it's just how you sort of like channel your emotion into the most positive and happy mindset possible, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I actually know that you're big on mindset, right? That's something that you're quite passionate about trying to. Do you know what makes me? Do you know? I'm going to be honest. What makes me quite, we're all on a journey in ourselves. Whatever, we're all at different points. But the fact that you like wanted to get involved so much with mental health and be, on this little feature on a Thursday, and you are only 25, that makes me very proud, man. That's, not saying that, and I'm not trying to be, not that age means anything, I'm not trying to say that. It's just going that, fuck, if I think about where I was when I was 25, I wasn't
Yeah.
at that point of like focusing on that. And there's obviously a mixture of things, but yeah, I mean it in the nicest way possible with no negative connotations.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and I think part of it for me was just I'm an only child for a start, so
Okay.
I think that upbringing had a different impact on how I am now than what it has if you weren't an only child. I think I've learned to always be a bit more individual and do my own thing on my own accord, sort of thing. I didn't go to uni. I was full-time work when I was 17 years old, and that's all I've known since. So I kind of got thrown into it and just like got myself into the mindset of like working and trying to be better, and like trying to like mold myself into the best sort of version of me. And I think I got to a point where I was like, I don't know, maybe like 22, 23 maybe. And as when I first really started getting into class teaching, I think, and I was just like, do you know what? Like, I don't really now care what anyone else thinks of me. I'm doing this for me. And I've just kind of stuck with that since then. And it kind of has just reinforced sort of year by year that like, if you just apply even if it's like, even if you are feeling shit, and even if you are having a down day, and even if you feel like, no, the world's against you, even if you just apply one sort of positive thought or one sort of like positive outcome for the day, you're going to have a better day. So.
Okay. Interesting. Well, like I said, super proud and also grateful that you're becoming a part of this. If anyone has any questions about, Lee's journey, my journey, fire them in the chat on Instagram. I see you people sticking around for listening. Appreciate you. So what is it specifically that made you? I mean, I can't help, So tell me off. You've got equal rights on this feature. So if I try and dictate too much or like interview you too much, you can always, maybe it's a defense mechanism from me or whatever. I feel like people have heard enough about me. Do you know what I mean? Because I've so many guests, I do feel free to like get involved and say my side. But
Yeah,
what is there? Do you know? Have you recognised why in yourself why you feel passionate about helping people with, even if it's more specifically mindset for mental health or mental health in general, men's mental health? Do you know why you want to get involved? Have you identified the reason?
I mean, for a start, it's clear to everyone. I mean, you're going to be very naive, like I used to be, if you can't see that like suicide deaths are absolutely flying through the roof. Mental health issues are flying through the roof. Lockdown, COVID, whatever it is, has not helped this at all. It's only going to get worse. But I've also realized, especially over the last sort of 2-3 years, I'm surrounded by like an incredible friend group. Like I have such a good friendship group. I have such a good network of people, and I'm in a very unique position that I have that network. There aren't many people that have that sort of network. So I've kind of like accepted that I'm not necessarily lucky, because I've made those connections and I've made those people friends, whoever they are. But there aren't people that have that network. There aren't people that have a lot of friends and family to support and to rely on when times are tough. And that's what I've kind of acknowledged, and that's what I've kind of accepted, that like I'm in a very fortunate position. That'd be nice to try and like, even if I help one person a day, one person a week, one person a month, just to feel a little bit better and feel a little bit more positive, that I've kind of done my job. And it's just nice to spread that message, I think.
Okay, amazing. Well, and when I, first started, I don't know if you know this about me yet, but I'll just, share it freely. When I first was like really passionate about male mental health as well, I felt like I had the skill set to kind of, help with it, because I feel really comfortable about being open. But I'd been very lucky in my life. I've not really had much loss or things to grieve. I also hadn't really struggled so much with my own mental health. So it was weird that when I decided that I was like passionate about it and that's what I wanted to do, that, it's just the way of the world sometimes, that I did actually have some, not problems, but, I felt very low, borderline, not clinically, but borderline depressed in my lowest moments. I don't actually want to use the word depressed. I'm just going to say really low, because I never, had to get any help or anything like that. But that was mainly associated with identity and motivation. I didn't know what my own identity was, because I was changing career, and I think I put too much emphasis on my career as my identity. That's why I'm so like focused on passion now, and finding people's passion, because I think that they're like, these are themes that run through people's lives, no matter how you're applying them. They're always going to seep in there somehow. So that's kind of why I'm passionate about that. But I just thought I'd share that kind of just reinforced that I'd been through. I'd sat in a darkish time for a little while, with help from, friends, family, and I didn't really communicate it that well when I'm quite a communicative person. So I could have, one, I could have had the tools to get out of it quicker, and two, I could have shared it more. So luckily, it's quite mild in the grand scheme of things, but it's nice to have a little bit of experience, I guess.
I think as well, as soon as, as soon as you kind of say nowadays that you're, helping people with mental health, or like you're trying to, spread a positive message, sometimes people may automatically assume that you've been through something yourself, or you have to have been something through self to be able to help others, because you don't know what it feels like to be them. Or like, granted, I don't know what it feels like to be someone else. I don't know what it feels like to be depressed or have like clinically diagnosed mental health issues. No, I don't. But I know what it feels like to be me. And if I can spread the message of how I go about life and how positive I am about life and how I can sort of like apply my mindset to try and get a positive outcome, then like you can too. We're all human. We all have a brain. We all can all apply it in the same way if we want to. I think it just comes down to like education and just tuning the brain a little bit more, tuning your ways of doing things a little bit differently, so you can think in a bit of a different way.
Okay, awesome. What I'm going to do is, because it's the first episode, and then I've just decided in my own head that every 10 episodes, I'm going to recheck in with you this question to see if it changes. But what is your number one tip for someone if they asked you about like staying their mindset? What is your number one tip for their mindset? And as we have more conversations, I want to see if your influence is changed, or you learn, or anything happens in that sense. So
Yeah,
episode one, week one, I can't help it. You'll get me back though, and you'll just step into it and start grilling me. I'm like, got me on the ropes.
So number one tip for mindset.
Or just in general, like we spoke about happiness, we've spoke about journey, it doesn't have to be about mindset. It's just a number one tip if somebody was putting you on the spot on like how you want to go about making some progress.
Speaking, I think, is one of the most important things. It can be anyone, someone you either trust, someone you even don't know. Sometimes you open up a little bit more to someone that you don't know, because there's obviously there's not a bias there, and there's no judgment because that person doesn't know you, right? Doesn't have to be a therapist. It could be me, it could be Elliot, it could be any single person on this chat. Speaking can really, really help people, I think, and it's helped me being able to talk about my issues or talk about a problem that I have with someone, whether it be a family member or a friend. So if you just have the confidence, which is not easy, I know that, I really do, but have the confidence to have that hard conversation, or have the confidence to have that chat with someone and get something off your chest, I guarantee you'll wake up the next morning, you'll feel a weight off your shoulders without a shadow of a doubt.
Very good, very nice. Okay, so speak is Lee's number one top tip at the moment. I think there's some like potentially there's some room for things that come before that and all sorts of things. So it'll be good to see where we get to in episode 10, episode 20. See how much of a guru you become, Lee. Like talking and speaking to some of our guests as well. I'm sure you will be doing that at some point as well.
Maybe I'll change my name to Mr. Mindset.
That's it. You're laughing, but if we go back to question one of today's chat, and it was if you had no fear, maybe you would.
If I had no fear, I'd change my Instagram name to Mr. Mindset.
Well, it's better than Lee with 3 E's, isn't it? I genuinely asked Lee last week if he's got a middle name that begins with E, because I thought it was like Lee E. Stevens, like Lee Elliott Stevens or
something. You'd be lucky, mate. Gentle.
No. Yeah, that was the first name that popped in my head with E, but Lee, Edward Stevens. Yeah, but apparently not. He just fancied another E.
It just wasn't available with 2 E's. And the person who had 2 E's hasn't been active since like 2008. So
right, so Lee Stevens with 2 E's. If you're out there and you're listening,
give it back.
Yeah,
give me my name back.
Donate an E, and just it's not fair. If you're not using it, you don't need it. Come on.
Exactly. It's not fair.
On that note, on that very important message, we're gonna wrap up tonight. Short and sweet with Lee and Ell every Thursday. Come check in with us and come and grill me if you feel like if it's been too one-sided and I need to be attacked. Then we're all we're all for that here.
Your time's coming, mate. It's all brewing.
I know. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. It's all going to come back to me, isn't it?
It is.
But yeah, thank you as always, Lee, for jumping in and sharing honesty. And yeah, really, really appreciate it. And if you're listening back on the podcast, then if you want to watch us live, Thursdays 9 p.m.
Oh, guest for next week is a bloody good one. He joined early. He still might even be here, but he did join. Do you want to say, or am I allowed to say? We're going to save it.
No, what we're going to do is if you stay to the end of a Thursday evening, then that is the premiere of knowing who the guest is for Monday. And we're not going to post it anywhere until probably Sunday or Monday. So you get to know, you're in the know. Lee's going to tell you who it is for this Monday.
Well, you have, some of you might know him, some of you might not, but he's a man called Joel Burgess. I absolutely love this man. He's incredible. He owns a company called NutriFix, which is an incredible sort of nutrition app. And he is an absolute guru when it comes to mindset, when it comes to motivation, when it comes to business. He's like a big brother. Like he's the man, and he's an absolute gent as well. So you've got Mr. Joel Burgess on Monday, and I'm very excited to watch that.
Amazing. Looking forward to that. When he gets a seal of approval from Lee E. Stevens, then we know he's the man. Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this Thursday. And, we'll see you soon. We'll see you Monday. We'll see you Thursday. Never fear, we're here. Any last words, Lee?
No, man to man. We're out.
We're out. Bye-bye.
See you, bud. Bye-bye.